I go first?
Hey everyone, welcome to the show tonight. My name is Dr. Asatar Bear, my co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer.
Welcome, everybody.
And tonight we are talking about trust and where do you place your trust? What is it you really
Mhm.
believe in? And how is this related to your growth, to what brings you forward on your path? So I think it's a kind of a fascinating topic, because what we say about it is often very different from how we act, right? I mean, I think that's true in a lot of things. But
It's
we
something
say
that's
we,
easy to it's something that's easy to give like lip service to.
yeah, exactly. It's easy to say, well, I trust the universe or whatever, right? Or
Mhm.
I trust in a higher power. I trust in God. I trust in, or maybe I trust in myself. But do you really, right? Life has a way of testing that. Life has a way of pushing us to see what it is we really cling to, what it is we really believe in. And, you know, it's like there's no right or wrong answers here, right? Like we're not saying there's a should, like you should, this, that, or the other, right?
No.
It's about where you are,
Yeah.
and
And
it's
then
about
it
that
has to
being
come from
real.
within. And it
Go
has to
ahead.
come from within.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think there's a we're gonna tonight we're gonna have a little delay, I guess, between the two of us. And so just bear with us, everybody. Um, but but as you said, like it has to be real. And so that means it has to come from within. It can't be something that I mean, sure we can try to go toward what people tell us, but ultimately, like when we are tested, then it really does have to come from within.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Um, we have a comrade here. Hello, comrade. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Nice to see you. Uh, so, I think it's particularly it comes into our view when we have something that really tests us.
Mhm.
I mean, I was thinking about this for myself. I've been going through a divorce for the last, gosh, coming up on 2 years now. It's quite a process. A very long marriage, and just how that shatters that sense of, if I said, like, what are the beliefs that I live my life around, definitely a big one of them is like, I believe in this love, I believe in being together with this person, and
Yeah.
it's very shattering, when to one day realize, like, I don't believe in that anymore, you know and
Mhm.
then, okay, well, life is going in a different direction. And, what does it mean when your belief about something like that, right, changes? And, because I think this is all part of it, right? Like, whatever it is you trust, whatever it is you believe in, life is going to test that. Life has a way of testing everything,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's about how do we respond to that? What do we learn from that? And it's so connected to our growth, uh, on that level towards our potential.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, like, maybe you still believe in the relationship, like, for other people, like, maybe you still believe in the relationship, but then it has to end in some way. Or it could be maybe you still believe in the career, or you still believe in the company, or, depending on where you put your cards. But then, life happens. So sometimes it's that it becomes obvious to you. I think that's like an easier place in a way to be at. But sometimes it's like life is showing you like, no, it has to go this direction. And when that kind of unexpected change happens, it can be very, very, very difficult because you were like, well, I did everything right. At least that's how I think about it.
I know, and that
But like it
tendency is so strong, right? To say, "Oh, if
no,
I
I
only
mean
do everything right, then
yeah,
I'm not gonna suffer. I'm not gonna
right.
go through, I'm not going to be pushed on the level of trust or
Well,
belief, right?
yeah.
But
Well, I
if
was
you're not pushed,
perfect,
you're
so I
not
don't
growing.
know. But but when you when you put your heart and soul into something, like, that's how it feels. It feels like, "Well, what?" Like, "What do you
Yeah,
mean it's being taken?" "What do you mean it's not gonna work out or it's gonna fail?" Or whatever word you wanna put in there. But of course, like, um, that's where there is a deep opportunity for really deep surrender into growth, and into assessment of, well, what's underneath of this? What persists? Like, what persists past the change, and what can I put my belief, my faith, my trust into throughout this change? And I that's the topic for this evening, and I find it to be probably one of the most challenging topics, it to practice.
yeah.
Yeah, for myself anyway.
I mean, when you live your life, when you make decisions around faith in anything, right? Um, what maybe it's faith in yourself, maybe it's faith in God. There's going to be a moment where that is tried, where that is tested. Um, and we live in a limited world, right? There's going to be failure. There's going to be times where things do not go according to your plan, and then you're going to ask the question that people have asked for a long, long time, right? Which is, I thought that I was doing work that's in line with my purpose. I thought I was doing the will of God, perhaps. Maybe you think about it that way, right? And then
Yeah,
I failed. How do I
yeah,
reconcile these things? You know?
yeah, that's such a big one, and, both Asatar and I have been we because we're very deeply committed to our spiritual path, we're committed to being of service to humanity, and we're committed to our hearts and to our evolution of our own hearts, and to trying to create more unity, between ourselves and everyone, and between everyone. Um, and so we're really deeply, deeply committed to that. And yet both Asatar and I have gone through very, very long, painful crises of faith, within this, because the path is not a straight line. Um, and and we get pushed into very deep trials and tests, like with the path that we've chosen.
Yeah,
And so it's like it's such a hard thing, because like even Asatar and I, we have so much proof, like through our meditations. We have proof of how much the meditations change us. We have proof of believing in our own capacities through the meditation. And we also have proof of like really profound miracles that we've both witnessed with other people and around us and within ourselves. And
absolutely.
even then, you can have a crisis around faith.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's a very deep topic, and we just want you to know, like, um, it's okay. Like, it's okay to go through it. It's okay to have it happen. It's okay to have these things go on. But hopefully tonight we can, like, try to heal some of these wounds within us, and restore trust, and restore, faith or belief in oneself, and in
yeah.
the one life. Yeah.
Hazrat Inayat Khan, the Sufi master that we look to here, has this wonderful quote about it, and it says that what is faith? Faith is self confidence. So,
Mhm.
wow, right? I mean,
Right.
that's a really that's a what do you mean by self? What do you mean by confidence?
Yeah.
And of course, we know from his teachings, right? He's talking about the self as a really big, the big self, right? The self that is
Mm.
aware of the unity of
Right.
all being, um,
Yeah.
and that what does it mean to put your faith in in God, or in this unity. We
Yeah.
I think there's a certain angle that you get from meditation where, you don't wanna deal with concepts. You don't wanna say, "Okay, I have this idea," right? You wanna deal with experience. You're only really going to trust what you know, what you have experienced, what you have felt, um, and not just once, but repeatedly, right? That the experience that sinks in and just becomes part of you, and
Mhm.
this is like what we look for as signs along the way, right? That
Mhm.
meditation is about a practice, and it's about a collection of these experiences which give you the sense that the energy that I'm feeling and working with, learning how to work with, learning how to perceive and then how to direct, that has very real effects. Um, and
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
that what makes faith different. It's like I'm not just believing it; I'm witnessing the effects of it, right? But of
Yeah.
course, there's
But
always
you have to
limits.
believe. Yeah. And you almost have to believe enough to actually try it. Like
You have to
you have to
believe
believe
enough
in
to try it.
yourself. Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you go from, okay, let me try out this meditation thing to no, let me really focus. Let me
Yeah.
focus my intent in feeling this, in moving this energy, right? Where you become active
Mhm.
with it. Rather than
Yeah.
just, okay, we'll see what happens, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a different kind of energy. Um, but you have to, like Leah said, you have to get to a place where you believe in that enough to even say, oh, there's a thing I could do here. There's a thing I can try.
Yeah.
What does trying look like when it comes to meditation, right?
Mhm.
Um,
And that is such a deep surrender, like, in and of itself. So, because like, it's a deep surrender to just even try, just even trying to create harmony where there's dissonance. Because when the chain like, when you're tested, and I'm talking about tested on a level that rocks you, that creates a quake within the deepest realms of your own being, like, where
right.
you lose your foundation, right? And so, like, you're not okay when that happens. And, like, and so you don't feel it's not like you're just like, "I'm on cloud 9 and everything is great," and, like, you don't feel like you're not there. You're like, "Oh god," just, um, and so, even to believe that there is an answer is, already a surrender, or to believe that this one life that has handed you these cards, like, I'm of the school, like, I'm of the system of, like, believing everything is one life, right? So, like, this one life has handed me these cards, and I'm supposed to trust that, like, and, um, so first of all, it's like, but you're the one that did this to me, universe. Like, how am I supposed to trust you now? Um, you know? And so it's like already just such a deep surrender to believe that there's an answer from the same source from which the problem came, right? And then to
Yeah.
believe in yourself enough to face the pain, to believe in yourself enough to face the fear that comes up from the foundation being rocked. Um, that
Yeah.
is that is, I mean, it is such a surrender. It's such a deep, deep surrender. And it like, to me, it's like a surrender of, like, in a certain way, it's a surrender of, like, I don't actually know. Like, I don't actually know. Like, I thought that I was gonna go from A to B to C, right? But somewhere
Yeah.
between B and C, you know, somewhere between B and C, and got totally derailed. And the surrender, I find, is that it's like, well, okay, but where I find some comfort is like, okay, well, what am I learning though? Like, and so what is happening? What am I learning? You know,
Yeah.
and when we surrender into that, then I can say, okay, now I feel like I'm experiencing this pain or this anxiety or this fear or whatever it might be, and I'm experiencing that in my body. And why is that there? Why am I reacting this way? Why am I having this response to it? And and where do I go from here? So it's like then I have the opportunity to heal whatever's happening inside of me, and I have the opportunity to go deeper into a deeper belief system. So maybe like I've believed in this one person or this one career or whatever it might be, and then now that career, that person's no longer there, or maybe they're even the ones that messed me up, right? And like but now I'm like, okay, but underneath that, what do I believe in? So underneath whatever has happened, what else do I believe in? And so this is why it's like this like deep, 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 deep surrender. And and then in the long run, hindsight's 2020, like in the long run, when we get past this or through this, if we turn toward the light, if we turn toward, okay, what is the growth that's happening? How can I heal what's happening inside of me right now? Even though it's not what I want it to be, how can I heal? That's when it's like the opportunity for, I guess it's like to find the truest foundation, to find the essence that doesn't go away through the change.
Hmm. We got an interesting comment. Uh, Faith is a fancy word for assuming. I believe until one is aware. Yeah, it's interesting. Um, yeah, we go through life and we make these assumptions. I mean, that's true. We don't necessarily even know that we've made them. You know, until it gets questioned. Um, you know, and I think it's like what makes your belief into conviction? What do you really believe in? That it's apart from your concepts and your constructs, right? Um,
Mhm.
we don't
Yeah.
want a mental thing, right? Because that is it's not that strong at the end of the day, right? I mean, um, we want something that we know deep in our bones.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
I like this. I like the second part of what you wrote, Rem. I believe until one is aware. Like, I think that's really, really profound. Like, it's like almost like I'm believe until like consciousness has taken over to full ramification of remembrance.
Right.
But faith, I actually don't think faith means assuming. So like faith is beyond trust. It's beyond believing. It's beyond confidence. It's beyond all of those things. Like all of those things point toward faith, but faith is something untouchable. It's something that's not, you can't, reason can't, reason can't like reach faith in a way.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it has a way of impinging, right? Because we want to understand things, we understand things through our reason. And
Mm.
how challenging is it when our narratives clash, and our understandings clash? And, we say, like, I dedicated my life to this. I felt like this was so important. And then it failed, you know? Um,
Mhm.
and why, and what do you take from this with you? What's useful? Um, Amidst just the pain of it, right? The pain of failure. Um, and,
Mhm.
if you haven't failed at something, then you could say, well, maybe you haven't really tried, you know, because that's what
Going
happens
past your
when,
comfort zone.
yeah, if you're always in your comfort zone, well, all right, that's great. You know, um, it doesn't seem to be very often that we go from success to success to success, right? I mean, there's going to be failure in there along the
It's
way
what
in
we
some
want.
some area of life, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and so, well, why is that? Well, what are we learning from that? How are we growing from that? Um,
Mhm.
maybe it's going to have something to do with your choices. Some to do with things that you didn't choose, right? But um, what can we take from it? Our friend
Mhm.
Akbar Kudus is here. Good to see you. Faith and belief, iman and yaqeen. So the Sufi wazaif, the names of the divine being that are
Mhm.
practices here. Uh, so
Mm.
we invoke these
Yeah.
qualities and bring them out in ourselves.
Mhm.
So
Let's
I
med
think maybe
let's
we've talked
meditate.
enough, and we have to probably do some meditation.
It's time. So all right, my friends. We're so happy that you're here with us. And it's kind of a leap of faith just to meditate with you online like this because Asatar and I are like, is anybody there? You know? And so and so we love to hear your comments and we really appreciate your feedback and your voice. So thank you so much for being here with us. Go ahead and deepen your breath. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. This is already just a practice of belief in something, that there's something there, even if you're brand new, especially actually. If you're brand new to meditation, it's like, well, I don't really know what's going to happen at all, right? There's a certain faith in just closing our eyes to try to reach something beyond our normal sense gates, beyond our physical senses, the eyes, the ears, the taste, smell, and beyond our normal senses, there is something we're looking for inside of ourselves, something we're ever connected to, and yet feels continually out of reach. Something we're always going toward. It enfolds us, it's within us, but we're always reaching for it, seeking for it. I want you to breathe like you're seeking. Breathe like you're using your inhalation to carve the deepest parts of your body, to carve the deepest parts of yourself into a wave of consciousness, into a wave of reaching into knowing yourself more. We really have to reach toward the surrender or the light or both. We have to reach for them. And we reach by reaching in with our inhalation into the depth of our being, into the depth of ourselves. Breathe into your lower abdomen, into your lower body. So, all the way to the hips, all the way to the tailbone, all the way to the very deepest parts of your torso. Breathe into them as if you don't know yourself yet. And you're seeking to know yourself all the way to the very base of your being through the consciousness that your breath brings. Knowing that there's more, knowing there's more. And then the exhalation, we want to give all of ourselves. So, and why would we give halfway? It doesn't make sense. Like when we're going toward our life, when we're on our path and we're going toward our life, maybe that is in the work which we feel we must accomplish, or maybe that is in the love that we long to bring into form, to experience and to create, or maybe just the pure vitality of being alive and exploring yourself and how you want to live. Or maybe it's in knowing all parts of yourself and knowing more and more of the self with a capital S through you, through your eyes and your body, your heart. But why would we ever want to go halfway? And that's that exhalation. Most of the time we only exhale half of the air that we are holding in our lungs. And so when you finish your exhalation, did you really finish it? Did you really try? And see if you can try right now. See if you can exhale all the air out, full, complete breath out. Tone the abdomen toward the spine and reach toward that which you are reaching toward, seeking. Reach even further than you thought you could before. Reach even further than you thought you could before. Now, did you trust that another breath would come in? Did you trust there would be another breath to breathe once you reached, once you truly reached from your depths, from your heart, from your soul? Practice that again. Look into your heart as you do. Do you trust that another breath's going to come in when you reach as far as you can go? When you find your limit? And then what do you do with the new life that comes in? Do you repeat the patterns of shallow breath? Do you repeat the patterns of your own psyche? Because your psyche is related to how you breathe. So do you repeat the patterns, or do you forge a new depth in yourself? Do you forge a deeper pathway into the deeper parts of knowing your being? Do you direct your life deeper into knowing yourself? Can you do that? And now we're going to look for the one who we actually are trying to trust in our own heart. So as you continue to breathe, dear ones, find your heart. See, can you feel your heartbeat? Those of us that we don't have the nerves, we don't have the nervous system or the nerve pathways to feel our heartbeat anymore. We all feel it when we're children, but we numb it out, right? We pay attention to other things. And it takes a while for them to develop again. You can do that. But those of us that don't yet feel our heartbeat, do you believe that your heartbeat is there? Do you believe you will be able to find it? Can you rest in the knowing that your heart is there, even if you can't feel it right now? Does that help you soften and drop deeper into your heart, my friend? I hope it does, because your heart is there, and that is you. Now, find your heartbeat. If you haven't found it within yourself, go ahead and find a pulse point, maybe on your wrist. You can do hand on heart, wrist for pulse point. You can rest your wrist and find your pulse point. You can find a pulse point through your throat. And then feel your pulse, the echo of your heartbeat, or feel your heartbeat through the whole duration of your full breathing in and complete breathing out. And this can bring up all kinds of things for everyone. Whatever you're feeling, just accept what you're feeling. It's okay. Trust yourself. Trust that you can practice this until you feel it in a very harmonic way. And I want you to look into your heart and look into your heartbeat for the one who you feel you can trust. Maybe it's in the form of a person, but I'm looking more for the formless, for that type of trust into the formless, into the one who always was, is, and will be. Look for that in your own heart. And if it's coming from this feeling of it being a person, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's a beautiful thing to know a person we can trust. Find their essence, go into the essence of that person, and go into the essence of the trustworthiness within your own heart, the existence of the energy of trust itself. And then let's make it reliable by making our breath rhythmic with our own heartbeat. 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats out. Either the numbers or the names of divine, whatever works for you. Feeling the energy of trust while you do this, while you establish this. Reliability of the inhale and exhale in a rhythm. Reliability of the trust in your heart, reinforced into your system through the rhythm of breathing with your heartbeat. And then try to hold that remembrance as you gently move your body and open up your eyes.
I'm thinking about how much courage it takes to be in your heart's energy and to really feed that with your breath. And we how we work on trust in so many different ways, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like you tune into your heart and your heart is full of longing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First thing you encounter, right? Your heart is full of longing. And like what do you do with that? You know? Do you
Yeah.
act from it? I mean, you want so many things, like, well, what of those desires are really important? What are worthy of your time and energy and effort and you know
Mm-hmm.
and can you do it? Can you be in this heart space? Um, can you follow it? I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much about this that just even through the basic steps of the practice that you guided us through, which was quite beautiful. It just made me think so much about the theme and how do you build that trust just even by doing the basics, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Mm,
Mm. It is. It's so beautiful because it's all right there, even in the basics. The basics is really the foundation.
yeah.
Mm.
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 Well, I guess we should keep going then, huh?
Let's keep going. Yeah. Thanks,
Right.
Officer. Great. Let's keep going.
Let's see how this goes. So, if we return to our foundation, remember heart rhythm meditation, we are seeking to optimize the breath, to make the breath deep, slow, rhythmic, heart centered, and full, just as Leah guided us through it. We begin just by tuning into the breath, meaning to deepen the breath, allowing your belly to expand as you breathe in and contract as you breathe out. And then slowing the breath. As you slow your breath, you slow your rhythm. You shift out of that outward kind of energy and you shift into the inner world. Slowing the breath slows the rhythm of your inner space. It allows you to perceive the subtle energy of the breath. Slowing your breath makes it more refined. That is the flow of air, that part of the breath becomes more slight. If we breathe in as much as we can in as short a period of time as we can, that breath is going to be rough. It might make a sound. It's going to be rushing in, right? If we do the opposite and breathe slowly over time, we're dealing with the same size lungs, but we're taking more time. The breath becomes finer. And what we do to the breath, we do to ourselves. We refine ourselves. We refine our hearts. Our hearts are full of desires as desires are swirling around. We have all kinds of desires. We have so many desires. It feels like our desires are endless, and it can feel like those desires are overwhelming. By slowing the breath, by deepening the breath, by slowing the inner rhythm, we refine the energy of the heart. Now we want the breath to be rhythmic. We want the breath to be heart centered. We can do both of these by breathing in tune with the heartbeat. Same number of heartbeats on the inhalation as on the exhalation. This can be challenging because it requires that we feel the heartbeat. Some people can feel this right away, and some cannot. If you work on this practice over time, you will come to be able to feel it. And so that's the challenge of this practice. If you're not feeling it, what do? You can place a hand on your chest. You can lightly press with your fingertips. You can place your fingertips on your wrist. Maybe you feel it that way. can lightly press your thumb against your fingertip. If all else fails, you can just imagine what you think to be the heartbeat. Make your breath rhythmic. Rhythmic breath is incredibly powerful. We are equalizing the energy that flows in, the energy that flows out. We are making that the same length, the same intensity, the same fineness. Now tune into your heart. Feel that the breath is coming into the center of your chest as you breathe in and is radiating forth from the center of your chest like a lamp as you breathe out. And the final step of this foundation is to make the breath full as you breathe out to really squeeze the abdominal muscles, squeezing your belly button toward your spine, breathing out much more than you think you can. And as you turn towards the inhale, keeping the breath contained, keeping it controlled, slowly inhaling, first filling your belly, then expanding your ribs and all the way up to your chest. So when we work with the full breathing, we are not just working with the belly, we're working all the way up to the collarbone. But we start with the belly as we inhale. And as you breathe into your heart, feel your heart come alive. Feel your heart's longing. Feel what your heart is connected to, who your heart is connected to. Feel the presence of the people and beings that you love. There may be pain there, there often is. And this is why we often don't go into our hearts. Our hearts are full of energy, and there's often pain as well. They're full of feeling. My best advice is to just open yourself to it and don't try to fight it. Let that energy flow through your heart. Keep your breath controlled. Stay with the practice. And though you may feel like it's overwhelming, you will not be overwhelmed. And this is the thing, it takes tremendous trust to just even get to this point that we have come to together. You are trusting in your heart, in your breath, by opening to it, by going deeply within your heart. That takes trust, and at the same time, it builds trust. How can you trust your heart if your heart is a mystery to you? If it is a place that you fear to go? Our culture sometimes says, follow your heart, but you can't really follow what you don't know. You can't follow something that is just a concept to you. You have to know what it is, and that requires exploring your heart. That takes courage to go deep in there. The more you explore your heart, the more you heal. The less surprised you are by what's there. The more you understand what is within you. The more real become the connections to all of life. Of course, we feel those connections most strongly, most intensely with the people that we know and love the most, which is also where a lot of our pain might be clustered. Stay with the breath and go even deeper. Go deeper into your heart. Feel all there is to feel. Explore the desires that arise, the longings that arise. It might be confusing. I had a very strong longing arise in my heart. Began about hmm, maybe about 9 months ago, something like that. It's very surprising to me. I did not know what to do with it, but there's a lot of energy here. I'm going to keep breathing through this. I'm not going to try to put this in a box. I'm going to just try to experience it. Let it speak to me. Trust that the meaning will be revealed through that process. I saw myself creating art, and it's always been an interest of mine, but it felt like it was very challenging for me to understand it. It seemed like it was so clashing with all the responsibilities that I had, with other commitments that I had made. And yet the longing was so strong. I am still struggling to understand what place that has, but listening to your heart and following your heart are very closely connected. And nothing reveals more where you place your trust than that. May the blessings of God rest upon you. All right, we'll end our meditation there.
Thank you, Asatai. Mm,
Mm.
mm. The interesting thing I learned about trust is that the more that we trust in the one life holding us and guiding us as children on our own development and path, was the more protected we are. That protection and trust in the one life go hand in hand. And it's not necessarily trust in the earth as it is trust in the omnipotent, even though the omnipotent is part of the earth. So I
Yeah,
hope that that's helpful. I hope that's helpful for someone. Mm,
yeah. It's important to think about like what does protection mean, right? I mean, because we could think about it in a kind of shallow way, right? Like, does that mean we won't experience pain? Does it mean that we won't experience failure?
right.
Well, not
No.
necessarily, right? Not necessarily.
Unfortunately, no.
I think your metaphor of
Darn it.
like a child is a really good one, right? Because it's like children are out there like learning new things, and the child has to learn how to walk, right? There's a lot
Mhm.
of pain and frustration that you watch them, right? Like they get frustrated by
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
and they keep on going. You have to go through that in order to experience that growth. Like so you don't do big things without failure. So
yeah,
you learn lessons from that. Of course, we never seek that out, right? But like you learn a lot from that. Not that, I mean, I wish the universe was different or something, right? Like that wasn't necessary, but it seems to be the way things are. Um, you
yeah.
push yourself
Oh,
and you
it's
take yourself
definitely
to the
the
edge.
right thing. Well, I mean, I guess life would be very boring if everything was just set. We wouldn't have any growth or learning. There would be nothing to discover or become.
Right, right. I
Hmm.
think that life is pushing us, makes it very dynamic. Um,
Yeah.
so
Mm.
something to appreciate next time you fail at something. This is amazing how dynamic life is.
I'm growing.
I'm growing so much right
Oh, I laugh, but it's hard.
now.
All right, friends, we appreciate you and all the work that you're doing to show up for yourself throughout all the ups and downs, and that you're willing to come and practice with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone. If you'd like to support the show, go to the Patreon link. Um, if you're in Tucson, of course, you should take a yoga class with Leah, and we
Come
hope to
visit
see you
me.
all next week. Take care.
Bye bye.